Okay, I've got all the walls prepped, ready to install the Quickset. Got everything cleaned up, checked out for all the nail heads that were loose, and some of them were popping, and so I had to gouge those out and set those up along in here. And there was a high bulge area here, and there was even a loose piece of tape right there, so I had to take that off too. And look what I found! Somebody's here to join me. Look at this. My Uncle Eddie and my Papa Joe. What are you guys doing?
Papa Joe, making sure you got it right.
You're making sure I do a good job? Is that it?
Looks good.
Or do you want to learn something too?
You can do that too.
Yeah.
Okay, you keep watching me, and maybe you can do it next time. What about
I
that?
don't think so.
I think it's going to be too fast.
Okay.
You might teach us.
All right.
We're inspecting.
Okay, they're here. They're here to check and make sure I do a good job for you and do all the patches right. Well, I guess the next step is to get into the Quickset and start mixing it up. Get ready to go.
Click.
Now before I get ready to install Quickset everywhere, I've got, remember this gap here? I'm going to just take some regular caulking, and what I have is some silicone based caulking. I'm just going to shoot some of that up in here. I could put Quickset there, but then I'd have to use some webbing tape up in there, and this is going to be fine anyways because it's going to bond on the inside corner. Okay, so I can just kind of do that. Basically because I'm getting ready to patch. I'll still, when I skim everything, I'll skim right up to this. But this is really going to keep this joint
Tight.
from cracking out.
Keep it tight.
Okay. Now you don't have to do this on new construction or anything. I'm using this as a patch filler. When that dries, nothing's going to come through that. It's actually going to be better than the Quickset. Try to keep any sort of moisture inside the wall from coming out on the wall. If anything, if there's any moisture that gets caught inside this wall, because it's an exterior wall, it's around a window, they had some issues about this years ago, any moisture will get to the back side of this and hopefully dry between the back of the sheetrock and the wood studs, rather than coming out of this hole up here, coming out on the surface of the wall and starting to discolor the wall, and then you'll have a bleed mark underneath your paint. Okay, I'm going to do that in this other corner over here as well. Now here I've got that transition too, and there's a crack there too. And again, I could put webbing tape there, but this is going to serve the purpose just as well. Okay?
Tape.
And I'm doing that because this is a patch, and this is going to bond it just as well. I'll still now have to put skimming material over that, you know, and blend it all in. I've got these inside corners right here too, and I thought I might as well hit those as well since I'm here. And I can still put my sheetrock mud right over that. Okay, there's a tip for you.
Yep. Let's see.
Now here's one thing I want to point out to you. I use a silicone base for around those windows because that's what I had. Now I've got a little bit right there, and I can put some silicone on there too, but if you're going to use silicone, make sure it's the paintable silicone, because this is the existing sheetrock ceiling that's not necessarily going to get anything but maybe a little bit more paint there. You don't want to use silicone if it's not paintable, or else if you do and you spooge a little bit up on here on the ceiling, you get ready to paint, it's not going to cover. So I'm going to look at my my caulking tube and see if it says paintable. If not, I'm going to use some regular white paintable caulking for right in here. And I see a little bit of a mark up here on the ceiling. I may end up putting a little bit on that too, because I really don't want to do a patch up here on the ceiling. The ceiling's already been painted and everything, and maybe they can touch this little area up. I can just put a little caulking right in there and kind of fudge that little section in. Okay? Things to think about when you're doing your patches.
Yep. Get all the sun there.
Well, you have popped nails. You can't just tap them flush, because then they're going to loosen up again. So when you see anything like that, you know you're getting ready to patch there. You're going to have to take a nail set or something like a nail set and just tap it in just a little bit.
Yep.
And that'll sink it into solid wood. Just because it's under the surface, I don't want to think, oh, that's good enough, I'll just put some mud over that. Well, you do that if you don't sink those nails in first. And you put the mud on there, chances are that mud is going to crack out eventually, because the nail in there is loose and it moves when the wall moves, and you could crack that out. Okay? Do a good job. I'm watching. Okay, because since I have the caulking here, you remember that inside corner that I took out that loose tape? Well, it's going all the way to the back side. So since I have the caulking here, I'm going to put some deep down in there to kind of hold it together, and that's also going to seal that area from any moisture coming in there before I put the sheetrock mud on the Quickset. I could just use Quickset, it's not that big of a deal, okay? But I thought I might as well do that and kind of show you. Might come in handy in certain areas where you're patching, okay? Now that will dry. Won't take very long for that to dry. And then I can put some Quickset over that and my webbing tape, and then do the proper patch.
No webbing tape.
Now here I've got another inside corner. I'm just going to put it back in there to keep the moisture from coming out and disturbing my Quickset that I'm going to put in there. Okay?
Yeah. Shouldn't hurt it.
Now, do I do this on all my joints on new construction? No. No, but this was a problem area from before. All right?
Yeah.
I knew there was moisture coming through here because it was all showing on the wallpaper. And so I want to do a little bit extra here to hope that it doesn't come out again. I don't want it to come out and say, oh, who did the patch? Oh, Joe did the patch. Yeah, didn't he do a good job? Well, it's all cracked out here on the corner. You know, I don't think I'm going to have him come back and work in my house again.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay, so I'll put a little bit more in there and finish it off.
How many mix it?
Hey, you. That's all I got for today. But I'll be back with more
Ask him.
videos.
How many?
All right, Pops, you ready to go home?
Yes.
Okay.
How many pixels did he have? He said no.